Traditional baffle suppressors from years past basically push all of the gas, all of that debris back into the rifle, and then from the rifle back into your face. With flow through, we have a series of channels in there, flow channels, that redirect it 3 times roughly, depending on which model, which suppressor, and then pushes everything forward through these vents. And then these vents are angled to take that exhaust that comes out of the front and keep the suppressor tight. So there's 2 different types of technology going on just on the front of the suppressor as well. But that is really the biggest thing. And for my job at HUXWRX, to me, I'm not worried about decibel level as much. I'm not worried about a few other things, but performance and the ability to not hamper or really mess with the function of the rifle is really what I stand behind with these suppressors.
You're listening to the Hot Wash by Born Primitive Tactical. I'm Bruno Fallon. I've spent my 4-decade career in some of the most elite units in the United States Special Operations community, where I learned that elite operators aren't made overnight. They're forged through hardship, discipline, and relentless drive. In each episode, I sit down with the most accomplished and innovative leaders in special operations, industry, coaching, and athletes of all disciplines. Let's jump right in.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Hot Wash by Born Primitive Tactical. I'm still Bruno. We got a great guest here today, a personal friend, and someone that I'm just going to tell you that when Born Primitive has a gun problem, it's the first guy we call. And we've called you a few times, haven't we?
Yep.
But Vinnie Palucci, who has the fucking coolest title on the earth of any job you've ever heard, very jealous. He is the director of lethality for HUXWRX Suppressor Company. So welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Bruno.
Yeah, it's good to have you. This is Vinny's first ever podcast. So I probably should have a bottle of the Hooten and Young bourbon out here to open them up a little bit. And if we need to, we will. We'll pause. But let me just give a little background on Vinny, and then we're going to talk about it. And the meat and the potatoes is why we're here, is the Hux cans. But so Vinny comes from a really cool pedigree, former Marine Corps special operator. And Vinny was one of the ones that when the special mission units were standing up and they were becoming part of the tiered community, that Vinny was part of that community. And it's a very small and elite group within the Marine Corps. You know, you have the Marines, which are an elite service. Then you have MARSOC, Force Recon, and then you have their special mission unit. And Vinny did a little bit of all of it. So kind of cool. I won't hold the Marine thing against you whatsoever.
I get that a lot. It's all right.
Yeah, man. So all good. But trust me, I get all the Army jokes too. You know the deal.
They're all out there, like aren't ready for the Marines yet.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's
what Army stands for.
Wow, you whipped that acronym right out.
I mean, that's like I was planning on it.
Yeah. So you know, I don't think Vinny knows this, but my entire family, and I'm adopted, so this is was Marine Corps. I had a couple uncles that were Vietnam veterans. One of them was a Force Recon Marine that did 2 tours in Nam, and he's who I leaned on when I went in the service. And when I went to Mike, and I'm like, what do I want to do? Because I didn't know. His exact words to me, and this was 1981, he was like, don't join the Marine Corps during peacetime. It's not a peacetime service. And I was like,
that's great advice.
I was like, okay. I was expecting to follow the lineage of being a proud, because they're all very, once a Marine, always Marine, very proud Marines.
Yeah.
And I was kind of blown away by that. We still went and visited the Marine Corps recruiter. We went and visited all the recruiters. And to be honest with you, he's the one that, and I was in a time crunch. I mean, everybody knows my background, knows it was, go away to somewhere special or go in the military.
Hey,
it is what it is. And I wish they still did that today.
Yeah. We'd be a lot better
to be honest with you, the military needs Vikings, and that's where you get them.
Yeah.
But the Marines laid out, I mean, it was probably the sexiest brief of all. You know, hey, be a Marine, the freaking uniform, even of all the recruiters, the Marine was by far the most fit, the most, you're like very impressed. But I'll tell you what, that Army dude played that Army Ranger videotape.
It's all you needed.
Done.
Yeah. There's no videos like that in the Marine Corps.
No, man, it was awesome. And
I will tell you this, like a little story about like a recruiter. Like my recruiter was probably the exact opposite. I was probably a sophomore, junior in high school when I first went in there. And this guy was like my parents' age. And I couldn't understand like how he was still in the military, but he was in during Vietnam. He got out, he came back in as a career recruiter. And this guy was at 1st Recon Battalion in Charlie Company at Howard's Hill. And he got a Silver Star there, and Jimmy Howard got the CMH there. And I was sold. Like, he had a little photo album, and I said, hey, look, we could bypass all this. You need to sell me. Like, I'm good. Where do I sign? And since then, like, that's what I wanted to do, was be a recon guy. And because of that. So it was actually very odd, because you think of like the Marine Corps recruiters as like these big fit guys. And this guy he actually came to my house and got my parents to sign, because I was only 16 when I joined. So
same. That is so fucking cool. How many years told you do?
21 active duty.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I mean, hey, you guys know the deal. Like, in today's day and age, 21 years of active military service, especially what's going on. You might get out in your 40s, but your body's in its 60s.
Yeah.
You know?
I was the first Marine to get approved for that soft 5-year $150,000 bonus, and I was all ready to do it, and just made a decision to not get too far away from the military, but just to kind of get out at the time. So
well, and you've been in industry for a while, because you were doing stuff before HUXWRX Safety Company, but you've been in the arena. What did you do when you first got out?
Well, I took a job at a contracting company. And I walked in on day one. They said, here's your office. And I kind of looked around and was like, I don't know how to tell these guys I don't want to work here. It's only been like 3 minutes. But I did. I told them I didn't want to work there. And I did some overseas contracting for a government agency, which is what I was trying to get away from. I was trying to maybe kind of do what's right for the family and not deploy anymore. And I walked into that office and sat down and was like,
nope,
my family will be fine. Yeah.
No, it's funny you say that. When I got to approaching the 30-year mark, and I was starting to realize the music's getting ready to stop. I need to grow up and figure out what I'm going to do. And there was a bunch of offers on the table, and the overseas contracting, whether ground or air, no matter which one you're doing, is always lucrative, because a bunch of guys doing there, the money's right. But I had to say to myself, I mean, I was just so fucking worried about, man, I am with the A-team. I am with the best of the best, and I'm not going to have that environment anymore.
Yeah.
So that's why I stayed in the secure confines of the GS world, because I got to stay with the best and just become a government civilian doing it.
Yeah.
So how many years after, when did you transition, decide to get into actual industry and get away from contracting?
So I did that for about 3 years. And then myself and another guy from the unit I retired out of, we had a company that did training for the place you were at and all those places. And I did that for probably about 4 or 5 years. So this is really, I call this like my first real job.
Okay.
Like I was in the military my whole life. I did some ridiculous 1099 stuff. And like, this is the first time I have like a W-2 job. And it's different for sure. Like, being in this industry is, it's hard to separate yourself and who you were before and still be successful in it.
Well, you're very successful in it. I mean, like, I'll tell you right now, I think the team at HUXWRX, I'll just say this out loud, I didn't even know HUXWRX suppressors, say 5 years ago. Never heard of them, didn't know about them. But the team they put in place there, and then the product you're putting out. And I'll tell you right now, I mean, we've only been around in Born Primitive Tactical for October will be 2 years since our launch. We've been around, it took us a year to get up. But I will tell you, we're trying to use your model. And that is, first, build a good product, and second, have the right team. And I think you guys have done that. I mean, you guys, it's amazing how quick you've come on the scene. And when you're talking cans, like, to me, cans that have been around for decades are not even relevant right now because of your technology.
Yeah.
And we'll get there and all that, but I think it's a team. You guys got a great team.
We do. And I'll tell you, like, the team keeps getting better is really why I think we're as successful as we are. And we'll get into it a little bit later, but we've got some really neat things that we're building out at HUXWRX itself, that bringing better people to do testing and we're going to build a warfighting lab, which is truly amazing in the things that we want to accomplish there. So we brought some really good people to help with that as well.
That is awesome. So I'll just for people that are like, most of our listeners have heard me talk about Hux cans. And if you're actually watching here on YouTube or whatever, we've got a whole assortment of the cans laid out here. And then we've got 2 of them mounted on some of our other partners, the Sons of Liberty Gunwork assault rifles. But I just want to go on record saying 2 things that, like, us as a brand, and again, we sell clothes, we're an apparel brand, but anybody that knows us knows that we are pioneering marketing, pioneering content in a different way. Matter of fact, to where we're having people come to us wanting us to create their content versus traditional content companies. And I'm trying to keep my relationship with some of the really nice content companies out there, because I need them too. They sometimes get angry with me that I'm taking their business, but we're just pushing products.
Yeah.
But I'll say this, that what we've decided to do in building our team is very, very selective who we work with. And what we're trying to do is only align with a single product of a single category and pick the best. And the best to us is 3 things. It's the best product, it's the ethos of the brand, and it's the team. And just going on record here, that Born Primitive Tactical, if you're watching or listening, Sons of Liberty Gunworks, assault rifles, and HUXWRX suppressors are the only choice of us. They're paired up. They're an amazing system together, and it's all we shoot in that category. So we're doing a lot to promote those 2 brands together, along, of course, with our brand. We have a range day coming up at 4 September, which I'm glad you guys are going to make now.
Yep, we'll be there.
Yeah, you guys got deconflicted from your other event.
Correct.
But Born Primitive Tactical and Sons of Liberty Gunwork are the title sponsors. But on the main range down there at Moyock at Constellas Training Center, HUXWRX Suppressor is going to be right there with Sons of Liberty Gunwork. And then we're also going to have a Marathon Target Company out there, which are badass mobile targets. And then some other brands that work well with us too. But I'll tell you what, when you get to range day on there at Constellas, range 2 is going to be the place to be, because you're starting at the top tier.
I think one thing that you guys do that you do really well is the authenticity of stuff. Like, that's really missing in this industry when it comes to content. You know, like, content is a lot of things, and people, there's a lot of people that are good at content. There's a lot of people that are good at Instagram, but there's not a lot of people that are the real deal and then want to bring authenticity to it, because the people that don't appreciate the authenticity, that's not your customer base. And the people that do really appreciate it. And it brings a whole different perspective and level to the content that you guys shoot. And like, it's some of the best content out there. So
no, and I appreciate that. And we get a lot of comments on it. It's a lot of the high-end content companies, we share resources and stuff. You know, there's only so many people flying around Blackhawks and stuff like that. But I just had probably 20 or 30 very high-level operators reach out to me about some content put out by a media company, and it alarmed us all. They did a vehicle stop with a helicopter, and they landed that vehicle to the front of the stopped vehicle, and every one of us immediately went, "These guys have never done this for real."
Yeah,
I mean, these guys have no clue. None of us would ever do this. So you're right; it's a tattletale. Now we're doing some things. We want to make sure, I mean, we're using people that have all been on target. Some of our females obviously haven't, but we do market female clothing. But if you notice, our females are only doing range engagement and shooting. They're never doing CQB or jumping. Not saying there's not females that don't do that, but that's not our mainstream audience.
Yeah.
But no, the content to us is also something pretty cool, because it's a way to bring 10 or 15 really cool brands together and do something special.
Yeah, you guys do that really well. And we did a real small version, just an internal content shoot. And it was like, well, I just got to follow that model, and I got to talk to Ops Corps about a helmet, and I'll get some uniform, you know, and all those things. So it really is a good way to do those things. And sometimes, like, authenticity is not sexy.
Yeah.
So when you have, you know, like, when you're willing to do that, and no, it's not this big Instagram and smoke and fireworks everywhere, but it's authentic without really like violating what currently is going on in the world. to me, that is the best content out there.
No, I agree. And then the other thing is we are trying to show product too. I mean, so we
You
are,
have to,
it is a
right.
business thing. So there's something to be said about, you know, if we're doing, like we like working with complete parachute solutions. So if we're doing a free fall jump in our new multicam out of the back of ramp exit, there's a reason we're not doing it at night. I need you to see the uniform.
Right.
I need you to see the gun.
Yep. Yeah.
So, but no, anyhow, so let's just talk about HUXWRX Safety Company and HUXWRX Suppressors. Again, the team, everything, we love having. As a matter of fact, how many trade shows have we combined together now? Like that's something else. If you come to like TTPOA or something like that, we love having you in our booth.
Yeah, it's a great match for
It
sure.
is a great fit. How long have you guys been making cans?
So I've worked at the company for 2 years. HUXWRX was rebranded from OSS Suppressors, and that company's been around for a while. HUXWRX, as it is today, is about 5 years, a little over 5 years. And really the evolution of what it was, which is basically this suppressor here, to kind of where we're at now, has the ramp and the level of everything has just taken off.
Gotcha.
And the technology is a little bit of the same, but the way we manufacture now is completely different. Additive manufacturing brings a whole new level of what you can do inside of a suppressor.
You guys are doing 3D printing and I mean, there's
Yeah.
so much technology involved.
And I tell this story and everybody kind of laughs and thinks I'm joking about it, but you'll appreciate it because the old suppressors without this flow through technology, which basically HUXWRX has pioneered. When you shoot a traditional suppressor, you're getting all that gas in your face and you have to fight through it, right? And sometimes just your glasses don't protect you. I can't wear goggles. I hate wearing goggles. So they're like, well, if you open your mouth, the gas will go into your mouth and it won't go into your eyes. And you're like, well, whatever I need to do to keep it out of my eyes, right? So, and people laugh at that and they think it's a joke, but like that's what we did before we knew like all those toxins and everything that was in those gases. You would just sit there and kind of be like a mouth breather, hoping that the gas didn't go in your eyes. And now, like, we don't worry about that.
That is so freaking crazy. So, this is how I was sold on the suppressors. The flow through technology, which I'm going to have you explain. Literally, somebody said, you got to see this can. And I'm like, well, literally me being me, what's so special about it? We climbed in the back seat of a car and we're shooting through the front window. We put another brand's can on there. I ate the fucking gas. I had all the fucking debris from the vehicle come right in my face. Then handed me the other rifle and I shot and all the gas went forward. No debris went in my face. No gas went in my face. And it was quieter.
Yeah.
And I went, well, holy shit.
And for people that know guns and know suppressors, that's the immediate reaction. For somebody who just picks that up and doesn't really know much, they're like, I don't get it. But for those that know, they get it right away, especially lefties. Lefties are like, oh my God, this is amazing. So that technology, it's an education for those that don't know, and it's kind of a relief for those that do. Like, why did it take so long?
Walk us through the whole flow through technology, because I guarantee you 90% of the people listening are like, okay, tell me about this.
Yeah. So traditional baffle suppressors from years past basically push all of the gas, all of that debris back into the rifle, and then from the rifle back into your face. With flow through, we have a series of channels in there, flow channels that redirect it 3 times, roughly, depending on which model, which suppressor, and then pushes everything forward through these vents. And then these vents are angled to take that exhaust that comes out of the front and keep the suppressor tight. So there's 2 different types of technology going on just on the front of the suppressor as well. But that is really the biggest thing. And for my job at HUXWRX, to me, I'm not worried about decibel level as much. I'm not worried about a few other things, but performance and the ability to not hamper or really mess with the function of the rifle is really what I stand behind with these suppressors.
Yeah, and that's huge. Just to go back through on the flow through, and before we talk about the other things, I've had so many. So the theme of this podcast is quickly becoming human performance and stuff like that. And of course, industry and technical spec. But when we talk about those gases going back into your face and in your mouth and pressure on the body, I mean, we've done other podcasts on the effects in the human body. So removing that, number one, is fucking huge. It's like the difference between not having Ear Pro and having Ear Pro, right? And then the second piece of it is not hampering the gun's function. For people that don't know it, and I know a lot of people listening are way smarter than me on guns, but anytime you change ammunition, barrel, suppressor, things like that, you're changing the function and operation of the gun. And I have had cans that have, especially on pistols, that have greatly affected the function of the weapon.
Yeah.
And we just did, we literally just went out to Arizona, had 6 Mark 1s from Sons of Liberty, 2 of their recce rifles, and then 3 Viking bolt guns. And every single gun with the cans on it performed exactly like it did without the cans on it.
Yeah.
There was no change in the function or operation of the gun.
And that, to me, like that's exactly what I do at this company and what I want to hear. Like, that's exactly what this technology, the human performance side, like, I mean, that was the vision. That was the rebranding that our CEO, Ricky Elder, had this whole vision of that. And it's coming to fruition very quickly. It always has. But now we're going to build a human performance lab, a warfighting lab that really kind of identifies all those things. And we have a chief science officer and we have a new chief of testing that's going to build all these facilities within. So you'll be able to come out as soon as it's done. We'll have you come out, and we've got this indoor range, and it will have all these things from a warfighting lab to gauge human performance and the effects. And basically, for me, when I heard that, I was like, well, that's a great tool for a commander. You know, now we can show the difference between suppressed and unsuppressed. Bring your own rifle. You guys can shoot it. We're going to show you the effects on the body, the effects on target. Then we're going to put the suppressor you're using on it. Same thing. And then we're going to put our suppressor on it. So now you actually have data to compare to. You have a visual. You're not just saying a suppressor is quiet, because our suppressors are a lot more than just quiet. And when we look at the human performance part of it, I'm the director of lethality. So the safety part of it, really, we kind of joke about that. Like, I don't want to do anything with safety, but it's a big part of what we do.
It is a component. And
it's a big part. And, you know, it's always there. So it's a bonus, right? But it's not my job there. Like, the signature management, lethality of accuracy and repeatability and all those things are really what I focus on. And now we have these PhDs, like not my PhD, like, and yours, like a plain high school diploma. Like, these guys have these degrees and all this weird stuff. And now they're going to do that part of it. So now we've kind of got this team is just getting better and bigger, and the facilities and the capabilities are just going to keep getting better.
Well, it's noted how well you're doing. I won't go into details on the who, but you guys were just awarded a very, very high level SOCOM contract. The cans are performing. That's one thing I can say, again, with this, you know, partnership with Sons of Liberty Gunwork and HUXWRX. Basically the entry that you're going into on some of these SOCOM events, the grueling test that the weapon systems go through to be awarded the contract. I mean, to me, if you're out there listening to this and you're down selected, which you have been, that ought to tell everybody, like, hey, look, in my life cycle as a common shooter, I'm never going to put 5,000 rounds through this can in 30 days. You know what I mean? So it's kind of crazy, but I mean, that's kudos to you guys, because the one thing that we've noted is we immediately started telling people about this, and everybody we know that's going to them, law enforcement, SWAT teams, federal agencies, military, everybody's coming back and being like, it's a new era.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. The other thing is you guys don't stop. You guys, so for those that can't see, that are not watching on YouTube, so 2 things I'll say right up front. If you go to HUXWRX Instagram page, a lot of what Vinny's pointing out and talking about, there's some really good videos that show on their Instagram page. where you can actually see the can, see the gas that's coming out. They do some really good videos on that. If you are watching and looking at this, you'll see an entire row of cans that are my personal ones. And then he's brought some of the newer stuff out there. And we're looking at the evolution. My point being is you guys don't ever stop. You don't say, we made the perfect can, SOCOM bought it. You keep going.
And you really have to, because if you look at the history of suppressors, you know, SOCOM selects this suppressor, 5 years later, nobody even knows about that suppressor company anymore because something new, something better comes along. And basically you had that one short run, you were on top, and now nobody even knows who you are anymore. So we don't want to be that company that does that. So some of the things that we're doing now is very specific to a weapon system. Additive manufacturing allows you to just create the most wildest things inside of that suppressor that you traditionally can't machine. It has its issues, and we're learning along the way. It's 3D printed, so every printer has resolution. So some of those surfaces aren't as smooth as machine surfaces. So cleaning becomes an issue. And cleaning is really a culture shift in suppressors. Nobody, I've never cleaned a suppressor in my life before, right?
Right.
And they always worked. But now, if you want the capabilities, if you want flow through, if you want all these things that we could do inside there, the trade-off is you have to take care of it. You have to clean it. You have to do all the things to keep it running that maybe before you didn't have to do. But we do some things now where this is a 300 blackout suppressor, and it was built specifically for a weapon system. That 300 blackout is really dirty ammo. So a lot of that stuff gets blown back into the chamber, and it kind of causes malfunction. So we did a version, we sent it out for testing, and all of that garbage was still going back in there. So we actually needed to put more blowback into the rifle, which is not traditionally what we do or what we're known for. So this is kind of a hybrid. So the first part of this smaller outside diameter is flow through. And then inside the larger OD is basically 3D printed baffle stacks.
Got it.
And what we've got from that is just enough back pressure to keep the chamber clear. But this is probably the quietest 300 blackout can that we've made for sure, without a doubt.
That's incredible.
And then we continued that technology into this, which it kind of looks like a towel paper roller. But this is a direct thread suppressor for a bolt gun. This one specifically is 6.5 Creedmoor.
That's what you just showed me the video of.
Yeah.
And I was blown away by, for a 6.5 Creedmoor, that was pretty damn quiet.
Yeah. There's still a lot of testing going on with this. This will make it to the Army Research Lab later this year to get fully tested on the rifle it was built for. But again, we're not set in just saying we can only do flow through on a bolt rifle. Flow through really isn't what you need. What you need are other things for signature management. Even decibel level could matter with that. So again, this is a hybrid of flow through and kind of baffle stack, which again, very easy to do in the additive manufacturing world.
So the thing I want to point out there, some of the can companies that have been around, suppressor companies have been around for a long time, basically just repackage their suppressor with the exact same design based on the caliber. You guys are actually taking the technology and matching it not just to the caliber, but is it a bolt gun? Is it a blowback AR gun? I mean, that to me is the difference right there. I mean, again, we talked when we had Nate and Mike on here from Sons of Liberty, we just talked, the first time I shot their rifles that I never shot an AR platform with minimal recoil until I'd shot theirs. I mean, literally you can just send the second round immediately. You do not come off target because it's technology. They don't come off the gas. Well, you're doing the same thing. How much do you guys look like? We've talked, you guys, can we talk about like the hunting side and things like that? Like how much are you guys investing in getting out beyond the tactical community?
Yeah. So again, like that is the best part of my job. What you just said is matching requirements to design. And really that is the primary thing I do there. But then we move to the civilian market, which is a much different market. What matters in the civilian market doesn't always translate over to the professional user market and all that. So it's a very different thing. So we're really almost 2, sometimes 3 companies that we have to accommodate for those. We have end users on the military side. The commercial side has customers, right? So we have to do that. And then we have this hunting thing. And like, I'm not a hunter. I don't hunt animals, so we bring in, I think you introduced us to one of the big names. Yeah, yep. One of the big names in hunting. So we bring in people like that. And we have some people on staff. We're in Salt Lake City. We have people on staff that have hunted their whole lives, so like lethality counts for that too, right? But elk don't shoot back. So you guys, we're developing. So the military side, what we develop on the military side translates over to the commercial side in some regard. For the hunting suppressor that we're working on now, that technology right there translates big to the commercial hunting side. But like, I don't know things about like what hunters want. Do they want to be able to take that suppressor off and move through the woods and all that? So we're working with the team there that has all of that experience, and the guy that you introduced us, all that knowledge. And now we're coming up with an adaptable hunting suppressor that gives you different scenarios, gives a hunter the option to do these different things. There'll be different materials, it has to be lightweight. So on the commercial side, we use a lot of titanium. On the professional side, we try to never use titanium. We have other materials like stainless steel and Inconel and all that. But we are putting a lot of effort into the hunting side now, as it's a big market, and
it is a huge market. And the one thing that we find is that the special operator, the elite SWAT team, and all that, they put a lot of time and money into their kit. If you look at what some of these people will spend on a single hunt,
yeah.
And I'm talking about even just their bolt gun, let alone their travel, let alone their tag for the animal. And I think it's the right thing to do, because those people want to have the best. And we're excited. I know we've got Aaron Snyder working with you from our outdoor side. And he is a very, very disciplined and smart hunter. So you've got the right input there. But when do you think you guys will have a can that will be available to the civilian sector for hunting calibers?
I think we're really close to a prototype, which will entail testing. So I think we're probably a month out from starting to test and see. Basically, we have to go through this whole iteration of design change. We're coming up with concepts based on all this input, but we need to know if it works or not. So we have to test it. And then do we have to redesign it? Do we have to do material change or anything like that? I would say end of the year, maybe SHOT Show, will have a hunting can for different calibers with different options. It'll be modular, which I think is really cool. And like I said, we have a really good team working on that, and spending a lot of time on it.
That's awesome. And for what it's worth, if you've never been to SHOT Show, the HUXWRX booth is always easy to find. It's always the buzz. It's 2 stories high. There's so much traffic always there. That's why I'm always happy to put a mannequin there for you guys. Yeah. But no, and that's something too. We have a huge hunting community. So when that's ready to rip, let us know. We'll get our hunters out there. We've got quite a few ambassadors, and I'm sure would be like, let's give this thing a spin.
Hey, this is Bruno, and you've been watching the Hot Wash by Born Primitive Tactical. Please don't forget to like and subscribe our podcast, and thanks for watching. Now back to the podcast.
What else do you see you guys getting into in the near future?
Well, again, I think this warfighting lab that we're building, that is the future of where and how we go. We're now going to have data points and document all of these things that will lead us to what's needed and what's next. I think near future, we've got to keep moving on with our belt-fed suppressors. There's a big need for it. There's this whole big thing in the military now called the invisible soldier, and it's like trying to do our part with it, and thermal mitigation and all these things are becoming really important, right? But for us, we have to determine we're an accessory on a weapon system that is carried by a person. So we have all these thermal signatures going off. Like if we spend all of our time trying to mitigate our thermal signature, but the gun that it's attached to and the person that it's attached to is still giving it off, like how are we spending our time correctly? So we're really looking for requirements, and requirements are, if we have a requirement, like we did this in probably 2 weeks once we had the requirement, and it was that simple. We got some prototypes built, we tested them, and it was exactly what we needed.
And that's the 300 blackout.
This is the 300 blackout, right? This one, the same thing. Like, this was a very specific requirement. This is going to go on to a breakdown sniper rifle. And we went through it with the end user, a couple different things. Originally, they wanted this to stay attached to the rifle, but they needed concealability. And it's like, well, again, you can't have both. You want it to be good performing, or do you want it to be really short and not do as much for you? So working with the end users and then having requirements, we move really fast. When we're guessing and we have to kind of do things on our own. And like we think this is going to work, and then they take it and they do 1,000 round pull on a full auto belt fed, you know, and it's like, well, man, you guys never told us you were going to do that. We would have done things differently, you know? Right. So requirements for that side, for the professional user side, we could move very quickly on. So,
you know, it's crazy. So the term that's being used in the SOCOM community is the near peer fight. And what that translates to is basically our guys going against guys that are much better equipped, much better trained. So their opponent will have night vision. Their opponent will have thermals. Of course, just look at Ukraine with the friggin' drones and everything and the problem that's creating. But at the end of the day, the human factor still got to be taken in there. We're having the same thing. Like, if you look at me, if you want me to give you a combat uniform that goes out the door, that's designed for human performance, that a guy can go off a ramp at 30,000 feet or whatever the hell, you know, or, you know, the guy can swim it, this, that, and the other. I can put this guy in something that's going to last. It's going to keep the human performance and everything for a really good price.
Yeah.
As soon as you tell me you want drone defeat, thermal protection defeat, and all that, we're talking a different game. And the problem we have on that as a supplier is you're competing that. And the amount of RT&E to go into that, the cost to go into that when you're competing it, the audience is very small. Yeah. You know, the audience is very small. I don't have a single major metropolitan SWAT or federal team asking me for it. It's SOCOM. So we're cautiously entering it as a growing company. We do know it's the trend of the future. We are actually working with somebody, but to me, I got to keep the lights on. Yeah, I got to keep growing the brand. So anybody that's listening that wants Born Primitive to build something like that, you need to come point direct to me. But you probably want to sole source it. Because if I'm going to invest a huge payday into it, I want to know that you're going to buy it. Yeah. So,
and honestly, like it's almost impossible to move at the speed of SOCOM, right?
Yeah.
So they have this requirement, and they do something like that with a uniform, and by the time you get it to where you want, things have already changed. We're on a different spectrum of night vision. We're on a different spectrum of thermal, and now what you just spent all that time and effort on is irrelevant because the technology is moving so fast. It's really a tough thing. And you, as you know, running this, have to make those hard decisions on what's worth it.
There's definitely a financial decision there. The other thing is too, is that the end user has a vote, and the company that we paired up with, I mean, we wanted to dive into this. We got with our fabric company, we got with the technology people, we all got in one room and we're like, we're all in. And the technology people said, you know, we've already delivered some of these to SOCOM. And we're like, well, this was the cost per unit. And here's what the problem is they took our design and they were smarter than we are. And they told us where to put all these pockets and all this because they wanted it for operational capability. And every modification they did changed the heat signature and basically defeated the design. So, you know, basically the end user changed the game.
Yeah.
And created something that was not objectively what they were asking for, which is something we want to be careful of because now your name's on that.
Right.
And all of a sudden it's not working.
Well, it's good to have someone like you to have that interface too, because then you could speak to that. And when you could speak to an end user confidently, and they know like you're not coming from the world of Instagram, it makes a big difference in development. Like, when you have these high-end end users coming to you and asking you questions about this product and these things, where normally they would just be like, hey, this is how we want it, make it happen. Like, you've come a long way. And that is the best relationship to have with an end user, and making sure the requirement is met the first time. And not always the first time, but at the end of the day, the requirement has been met.
No, you're right. And the thing that we strive to do, it's not always achievable. But we're trying to do is build something that either the best SWAT team in the nation teams, the tier 1 units, or that the major metropolitan police departments want, it fits their need. And if we can achieve that, then we know that by those people using it and wanting it and approving it, that others will come. It's when you start going down the rabbit hole of building a single item for a single user that you get yourself in trouble.
Yeah. And those 3 users are all different requirements, right? Like that uniform for tier 1 might not be the same for Metro PD.
Absolutely not.
And we're in the same boat, right? Like we're competing on the commercial side with Hollywood and how quiet, these assassin sniper, suppressors are on TV, and people see that in the commercial market, and that's what they want. So, quiet DB level is huge in the commercial market and not so much at the end, in the professional user market. So it's really 3 different companies you're running inside of one company, and each one has a different end state to it. And it's really hard to cater to all of it.
No, you're right. I'll give you a cool example. We set up an event years ago. It was a sniper. It was an urban sniper hide done by one of the units up in Minneapolis. And they went in at about 3:00 in the morning, built this hideout, had cans on their bolt guns, had cans on their precision gas guns. And what I want to say, the shots were just over 600 yards. They were across metropolitan Minneapolis into some steel targets. They took the shots at sunrise. I want to say we had about 25 police officers basically making sure everything downrange in the SDZ was clear of civilian populace. We selected the location where we did, but they went into a under construction that was being rebranded as condos facility. And they shot basically across some rivers and bridges where we had a good berm. So everything was safe. But here was the proof of the exercise. Everybody heard the crack of the rounds. 23 police officers, to include 2 of them that were at the base of the building they shot from.
Yeah.
I put in a circle. I never told them where the shooters were. 23 police officers. I said, where was the point of origin of these shots?
Yep.
And I got 23 different directions pointed, and nobody pointed at the building they came from.
Yeah.
So my whole babbling there is about sometimes the decibel suppression versus the point of origin.
Yeah. It's force protection, right? From a sniper signature management, and that being one of them. Like you can't hide the crack of a round unless you're using subsonic ammo, and you would have never been able to make that shot at that distance with it. So not knowing where the shot came from is huge. And again, that falls directly into what I do at this company. And it's probably the best part of my job to know. And, like you take an engineer who doesn't know that and put them down range, right? And safely sometimes. And then you do that and you let them hear it. And they're like, just like that, like the police, they're fascinated by the fact that you can't tell where that round is coming from. And it's really a huge advantage, especially in the sniper world.
Yeah, it is. I mean, obviously quiet is good, but there are other things to consider. And I will tell you, I'm at a point in my life now that we know about explosive charges, now that we know about suppressors and gas back in our face, now we know about hearing protection, fucking burn fires, and the list goes on and on for the things you sucked up for 21 years. All that takes a major league toll on the human body.
Yeah.
And I think that having the safety aspect designed in the can, and then the performance aspect, nobody's doing a rescue in a fucking just clean building. Yeah. And every time you have gases blowing back in your face, you have everything environmental in that building back in your face too, instead of going away from you.
One thing we don't talk about a lot, I think we're getting into it too, is these suppressors on canine handlers and the effects of the canine. Like it's incredible what this does for a canine. And you know how those animals are incredible, but now we're not interfering with all this noise and all this pressure and everything going toward the canine. And I think we're going to start talking about that a little more, and especially when we get into the warfighting lab and all those things.
It's funny you bring that up, because I'm doing another podcast here with Rescue 22 Foundation, and Byron, who runs that, is a former 375 Ranger, and they don't do anything without their dogs.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, they're competing at the Patriot Games with their dogs, which we love.
That's great.
But you're right. I was just at a Patriot Games 2-3 weeks ago in Florida, and two of the Rescue 22 guys were competing, and one of the dogs was a newer dog, and when they were shooting their pistols, he was having a hard time controlling the dog and take the shots.
Yeah.
So it absolutely changes the game, right?
The other thing too, kind of just circle back, is high pressure ammo now. One of the things that we're constantly not struggling with, but ammo changes. You mentioned it earlier, like ammo is constantly changing. And now apparently killing people at 2,500 feet per second isn't good enough anymore. And it goes back to, as well as what you talked about, body armor. So now we have to make sure we're penetrating through body armor. High pressure ammo is really the way of the future now. And it's across SOCOM, and it's in every caliber. It's in our assault rifles. It's in the sniper rifles. It's in semi-auto. It's in bolt guns. So we have to adapt and make sure that our suppressors are keeping up with the change in high pressure and all those things. Even on the hunting side, I mean, there's a new round out on the hunting side that's high pressure, 7 mil. And so it's not just the professional user, it's also
and you always see that. Whatever the professional user goes to, the commercial user wants and ends up follows suit. So you're exactly right. The trend is going to be, and it's no different anywhere. What are these guys wearing? What are these guys using?
Yeah.
I want that.
Yep.
So
yeah.
You want to know the funny part as an apparel manufacturer, my biggest relationship with suppressors outside of content is getting the call from, especially the 3-gun competitors. Hey, Bruno, I just burned a pair of pants. Because they got a hot ass can.
Yep.
And that freaking, they drop that rifle to come up on the pistol or whatever they're doing in their transition, and that freaking suppressor goes up against their leg, and now they got to melt.
I mean, that's an age-old problem with suppressors, but I will say with flow-through, and especially with additive manufactured flow-through, the last place the gas goes out of our suppressor is on the, basically almost on the outer diameter of the suppressor. Our suppressors get really hot. There's really not a cloth to metal cover out there that won't catch on fire. Some are better than others. But it's not a if, it's a when.
Yeah.
ModTac is a sleeve that goes over the suppressor, creates an air channel. It's a carbon fiber, and it connects to the rail. So far, that is the only cover that we have seen or used that will basically mitigate that heat and that burning. I still have suppressors from the first content shoot I did with you guys that have
apparel on them.
Have apparel
on them.
So you're welcome, ModTac. But ModTac's a great product, and they're really, everybody. That's a huge question, right? That is probably the second or third most question we get asked from everybody. And really, like, you could spend a lot of money on a cloth one and keep spending the money, or you could spend the money on one that actually works.
ModTac, if you're listening, give me a call. Let's get you on here. Let's talk about the product. If Vinny's endorsing it, I'm already buying it. But and to be honest with you, I mentioned the 3-gun competitors. Let's talk about where we're in heavy sponsorship, both of athletes and competitions now, is these tactical games athletes.
Yeah.
What they're having to do with the rifle, with the obstacles, with the, everything from crawling through mud and everything. And they're all trying to shoot suppressed. I would absolutely imagine that would be a great device for them. So ModTac, if you're listening, let's get in the tactical games community.
Yeah. The return back to ambient temperature with that cover is incredible.
Got it. I love it. And ModTac, for what it's worth, by the time this podcast comes out, it won't be a secret. We are now the presenting title sponsor for the Patriot Games. So we'd love to have you join our team, because every one of those events is about 98 tactical athletes and I'm sure they're all leaving with burns here and there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, it's a great call. We're gonna have to take a look at that. So let me ask you a question. When you're designing them, and for me, I'll kind of explain why the question. I have way more SBRs rifles that have cans than pistols. And primarily that's because of how we carry our pistols in a holster, because of the bulk and stuff like that. Now, I mean, I've got my cans here. I've got one for 22, 45 and all that. But do you think there's ever a technology that will get to a point where we'll be able to put a can on a 9mm pistol that will be minimal size?
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one to answer because really there's so many factors on it. And again, because we're an accessory, we can't control some of those things like the barrel, right? Like if we used, back in the day, we used a pistol, the high standard. It was an integral 22 suppressor. It was, it was this big, and it was a built-in suppressor. It was
well.
Yeah.
Remember
great,
well.
Right? It's great. And we kind of gotten away from that. I think to answer your question, that would be the only way we could get back into that.
Be integral.
Yeah. And we would have to work with a gun manufacturer to do that. I don't know, we're not in the barrel making business yet. But if we were, I think that would be the easiest or the best way to make something that is not, a huge suppressor on the end of a pistol that you really have no idea how to holster or do anything practical with.
So I'm gonna say something that I think is common sense once I say it to a lot of people, but to the Staccatos and the Kimbers and everybody else out there. So we all know that the re-engineered 1911 double stack seems to be the gun of choice right now in competitive shooting, especially in tactical shooting. I think if a gun manufacturer were to get direct with you and commit, a Staccato or a Kimber or something like that, to commit to making a 9mm tactical pistol with an integral suppressor, that by the time you guys were done with it, you probably couldn't manufacture them fast enough, because in the safety, in every aspect of what a can does, if it's something that I can stuff in my Safari, all the different holsters that are out there, and it doesn't go down my leg 4-6 inches.
Yeah.
I think everybody's going to move to you. I truly believe that is the next groundbreaking thing that needs to happen, because every single tactical operator carries a backup pistol, and some missions it's the primary. And to have an integral can on a 9mm 1911 double stack type thing, I'll tell you right now, I'd buy one tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you're not wrong. So those are one of those things, like you said, you named some really high end, gun manufacturers. And I think, it's definitely possible. And Staccato is probably one of the best ones to start trying that with.
Yeah. Staccato. I'll say this right now. I grew up on 1911s. I'm a huge, for years, but pre-Staccato was a Kimber guy. Matter of fact, I remember LA SWAT was rolling the, TLE RL2. I still have a couple of them. Matter of fact, I think that's what's in my nightstand right now. And everywhere else in the house, who knows? But Staccato came out, and, Staccato, when we first got connected with them, I was first shooting the P model. I'm like, wow, this is nice. And then I got the XC.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy.
Well, even, and I don't know if they're up, even when they were STI, I built 1911s off their frames and slides and even their bull barrels, and they were absolutely amazing. And they've only gotten better. Like, they've refined their machining process to the point where everything is so accurate and consistent, which is something very hard to do in the 1911, 2011 industry.
If you go out, and I don't know if we were given a red carpet one or whatever, but I took a bunch of our ambassadors and we did a shoot on camera for Staccato. What was really nice about it is they sent reps out, and at the time they only had 6 models. And they laid all 6 models out, and they had people jamming mags for us. And me, Blake, Kyle, and a couple other guys basically shot on range all day long. And I couldn't decide matter of fact, me and Blake had the conversation. We both fell in love with the XL and the XC, but we realized the XC is more of a tactical gun and the XL is more of a comp shooting gun.
Yeah.
So we both went with the XC. But I have 28 1911s in my personal collection that you're not going to outshoot,
Right.
Now I'll tell you, my two favorite guns to date is that Staccato XC and my LA SWAT Kimber 1911. I love them both. I think they're both made very well. But I think in a competitive tactical environment right now, Staccato is just out there.
Well, we're an old dying art, you and I. Like the 1911 I grew up on as well. And it to this day and will always be my favorite pistol. But
Absolutely.
Now what Staccato is doing with it is they're basically taking what was the most amazing pistol ever invented and making it practical and more better and making it more better in competitive shooting as a duty pistol and all those things. So the only thing that's missing is suppressing it. So
we need a Staccato. I'm gonna send you this clip. Mark O'Neill, who's out there, good friend of ours, working with Staccato. You need to go. Hey, you guys need to listen to this. I guarantee you, we have our DMs blow up on, man, that's a great idea. Why aren't they doing it?
Yeah.
But I think it should be done. And I think that whoever gets there first, especially if they get with you and your technology, and if you think about it, you take what they're doing and your technology and your human performance lab, who's going to match that?
Yeah.
So
nobody. Yeah, you're right.
No. And the one thing I started to say, and I got off track is when we went out there, we went on a factory tour and we did both sides. We did where they make the guns and then we did their ammunition side. And I'll tell you two things right now. Number one, the attention to detail and the pride of every single employee. We stopped at every single station. We spent almost a day doing this and they showed us how they cut it from a block of metal, how they do that. And they walked us through, and the pride in every one of their employees was off the charts. And the ammunition was the same thing. But the thing that was crazy is we're looking around, you felt like you were in a NASA clean room.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, this was first class. So
that's a true test to a company that really cares about their product and all those things. And we just did this big after action at HUXWRX about delivery and a big order that we had. And, at the end of the day, I said, hey, I did this thing. I had this weird saying where the best thing about being in a specialized unit is everybody tried out to be there. That means they want to be there. And then they also want everybody else that's there to be successful. And that really, like the team we have at HUXWRX now is, I told them, like, this is how I feel being here. Like all the people that are here now really want to be here and they want HUXWRX to be successful. And I've done the same tour at Staccato when they were in their old facility. And even in their old facility, you could see it. It wasn't the NASA like pristine,
right?
But you could just tell that everybody wanted to be there and everybody wanted to make the best product. And it's the same with you guys. Like I wore your uniform 2 weeks ago for the first time, and I've worn all the uniforms out there. And I'm not just saying this because I'm on your podcast, but for me, and I said it to a bunch of the people, like this was the most comfortable, well thought out uniform I had worn to date. Unfortunately, it was just running around and not doing, shooting content. And I was just thinking, man, I really wish I had this when I was still working and doing things. So I feel like the theme, if you could keep that theme in a company, like hire the right people, make them proud to be there, make them want to have the best product, like you can't go wrong.
No, I agree. And I'll tell you something I'm having made into a sign for out there in BP Tactical. Norm Hooten, when he was on the first podcast with me, said this, and it's a pearl of wisdom. And he was talking about being in the unit and stuff like that. But he was about his exact words, and the quote is, "Selection is an ongoing process."
Yeah.
I fucking love that.
Yep.
Okay. Think about how many guys get to where they're going and then they come off the gas.
Yeah.
The biggest thing I can tell you is when I hire employees here, and the team I'm building here is if you don't come every day with the energy and the gas in the tank, you're not going to be here.
That's it right there. That's the key, right? Like knowing that you go to work every day, that if you don't do your best, you're out of there. And a lot of companies won't do that. A lot of companies aren't going to get rid of people for that particular reason. And that's what makes the tier 1 unit, that makes everyone great. Everyone knows that's the best place to be there. And they also know if they don't come to work every day giving their best, they're going to turn in their badge and go out that gate and never come back through it. So like it's not a fear, but just the knowledge of knowing if you don't come to work every day and do your best, you're not going to be at this company, because that's the kind of company we are.
No, and I love that. And I love the fact that, like, well, I'm a testament to your company. In the couple of years we've been working together, you've had some people move on.
Yeah.
And those people have been moved on for a reason. When I get the call of, hey, this person's no longer in that position, when you're calling for this is your new guy, I usually know. I know. I don't have to ask, right?
Yeah.
But it's funny because no matter what happens, I don't care if I'm dealing with your marketing, this, that, or the other. No matter what happens, I always end up back to the core team, you and Jesse and Tyler and stuff like that, and Kim. And those are the constants.
Yeah.
So you got to have the constant, right?
Yep.
So, but I think Rick Elder, and I think his vision, and then you guys doing the execution. It's the same thing here. Bear has the vision, and then I'm doing the execution with my team, and that's the way it needs to be. Like, well, hey, boss, what's your vision?
Yeah.
And we're going to go do this.
Yeah. So we were all out in Salt Lake last week talking through this test lab and this test facility, and at the end of the day, you could really see Ricky was just like, man, this is finally going to be exactly what I envisioned on day one. And it's taken some time to get there, because we're also a suppressor company, right? So we can't forget that. So it's just taken a little bit longer, but his vision is now becoming a reality. And, at first I was like, well, I'm not seeing your vision, right? Ricky and I have known each other for 20 plus years. So I'm very frank when I talk to him, and I was like, I'm just not seeing this vision right now. And then last week we brought in all the people that are going to do it, and we talked through everything from start to finish. And I was like, well, what about if we do this and include that? Like, let's do breaching inside of this, like all these things. And now his vision became my vision. And it was like, man, I get it. Like, and Ricky's really good at that. Like, he's done that at several companies. And a lot of people, when he rebranded OSS to HUXWRX, he got his ass handed to him on Reddit and all these things. And everyone said, what are you doing? You're this or you're that. And, the best thing about Ricky is he just ignores that with
white noise.
The patience of a saint.
Yep.
Like, it almost annoys me how patient he is. Him and Jesse. It's the one thing I don't like about either one of them, is they're just so patient, right? But, Ricky just ignored it because he knew what his vision will come to fruition eventually. And it's very meaningful and it's very purposeful. And maybe taking that long is even better, because now all of those things, human performance and concussion, it's more prevalent now. So now it took that a little bit longer, but now it's even more important. And now we're there. So last week was a really great week for both me and Jesse to see that vision kind of come to reality.
No, and I think you nailed it. And I think that it goes back to something you said a while ago, that if 2 years from now, those cans on the table are still what you've got, and you guys are not pioneering and moving forward, you're going to be not relative.
Yeah.
It's going to be the next HUXWRX, the
100%.
next whoever. So the Human Performance Lab, I'm going to hit some wood right here, getting together with Staccato and building a freaking internal suppressed 9mm. I'm telling you, like, I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but I do know the reason we're successful as a business is I'm not building shit that's already good out there. I'm building stuff that is wrong out there. Literally everything we're designing as apparel is stuff that I'm like, it could be better.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going out and, like, I'll give you an example. I'll throw these guys a bone. I've been asked probably 200 times, are we going to make gloves? And I tell everybody, pig gloves. Why the fuck would I get in the glove market when pig gloves exist?
Yeah.
You're not going to find a better glove. They're cold weather glove. You want to jump, you want to shoot, you want to punch somebody in the face. That glove is the glove.
Yeah.
And they come in every color. They come in every style. I'm like,
and you can get them today.
And you can get them today.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why would I build there is no better mousetrap. That is the glove. That's the glove I wear.
Right.
So it's one of those things that the pants were easy to me. I'm not a hater, but I have always been an athlete, and I have never liked our op pants.
Yeah.
From the external hard shell knees to the way the crotch sits to the way they just stay fucking soaking wet and don't move with the body, especially once salt in them. So this was easy. We came at this at a different angle. It was like, let's build a human performance pant. Let's build something that can fit the mission profile and dries.
Well, and that can only come from somebody like you, right? That's how it works. Like I've experienced what's not good, and I know how to make what's good, or I know what good looks like. Now let's make it. Let's bring in the team. Like your team's great, right? All these people, everybody has their part in it. Same thing. Like, let's make it good now. And then you win, right? Like,
yeah, you're right.
And I think, some of these other companies were not created, and you don't have to be an end user to be successful, right? But it really helps. Like, you can't make a suppressor or an op pant for a specific customer if you really don't understand that customer's requirements, their mission set, how it's going to be used. There's only so many things you could do in a lab. There's only so many things you can do in SolidWorks. But at the end of the day, you have to have the person who knows what it needs to be driving the train.
Yeah, and I'll tell you right now. So not only do I agree with that, I'll even put something on top of that. 40 years in the community, almost every bit of it JSOC community. But guess what? I've been at Born Primitive for 2.5 years. I'm irrelevant. So what do? I get it. I get the user input. I build the mousetrap to where I think I'm there. And then I go to the fucking user. Yeah. And I'm like, what am I missing? Like, what do you need? And then you have to do the white noise thing where like, okay, I sent this to 20 guys. 20 guys said, this is badass. 2 guys said, change this. They're the only 2 guys that said, change this. By changing that, it changes the item. So I'm not going to change it and I'm going to run with it.
Right.
But it's,
you're getting the best R&D from the best users on the planet, right? And let them do it for you.
Yeah. And then get rid of the white noise. You said something, I'll tell you that where me and Jesse and Rick Elder are aligned. I am not a fucking Instagram hater, but I am an Instagram hater. I'll tell you why. Number one, I don't give a fuck if you have 500,000 followers. I really don't care.
Yeah.
If you haven't done the mission, if you're not respected in the community, if you're PNG'd and they're selling your soul, I don't care. Yeah. You got those users by buying them or selling something, right? If you are a genuine person that has been on target, that is well respected in the community, and you have 500 followers, you're still my guy.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Until I came to Born Primitive, in 40 years, I was never on social media. No, we don't look at that shit in our community.
Yeah.
The only reason people are on it now is for the business or the personal aspect.
Yep.
So I'm a business now, so I have to be on it.
It's a necessary evil.
It's a necessary evil, but I don't get wrapped up about it. When somebody sends me something ugly on Instagram, I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I used to look at it and be like, oh, look at this toad. He's fat as fuck and he's got 37 followers. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I tell you, man, it's really hard. And I stay off of it I'm the same way. I never did anything on social media and I still try to limit what I do. And, half of the stuff that people say, and it's exactly that. Like I
will tell you, there are some badass people on social media. So to me, like on my personal account, I maybe follow I don't know how many millions of people on social media, but I probably follow 200 people.
Yeah.
Because everything they put on there is usually pretty cool.
Meaningful people.
And cool. And then I weed out the people I'm like, garbage.
It's, I've got some friends who are on a crusade, and you probably know some of them too. Matt Pranka is one of them. Really good friend of mine. And he was not a social media person at all, but he was losing contracts to these police departments for training because they said, well, you're not legit because you're not on Instagram. So he took it to the next level and he's like, oh, you want me on Instagram? Guess what? You fucking got it now. And that guy is on a crusade to weed out the things that are dangerous, right? He's not just picking on random people. People are putting out this information that is not true. It's information that will actually get a person killed. And, you know, he's just like, you're an Instagram commando.
And there's so many of them.
Oh
my God.
It's crazy.
And you know what? And again, this is where I even dive deeper into it. I'm a performance guy. I fucking love it. There are so many fucking quacks on nutrition, workouts, the shit they put on there. And I'm like, all right, dude. And then first of all, that's great. You got a 6-pack. You're 28 years old. I'm fucking 60 and I got one.
Guess what?
Come to the gym with me. Let me show you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is what it is, man. But so, hey, let's get back to, let me just ask you something we talked about and I didn't hit. You talked about cleaning the suppressors.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that real quick.
I'll tell you, it's probably the first and single asked question from professional users that we get. And I'll tell you, like, we're struggling with the absolute best way to do it. There's a lot of ways to do it out there, but we really need to, and part of our new test lab will incorporate that because we owe that to our professional users. We really need to have them. And really with this suppressor, because you can't get into the inside of it, right? So you measure cleaning by weight. So let's weigh this suppressor brand new out of the box. Let's shoot 2,000 rounds through it, see what it weighs. That's how much crap and debris and copper and fouling is in there. Let's clean it. Let's see how much we removed. So I don't think there is one particular way that works best. Ultrasonic cleaners, you know, you get into the commercial side and you'll say ultrasonic cleaner. I don't want to get myself or anyone in trouble because, you know, guys will throw a suppressor in an ultrasonic cleaner and Cerakote will come right off and they'll be upset, but it's cleaning, right? So we have a new coating called Armor Lube that doesn't come off. It's a DLC coating that is completely different than anything we've used before on suppressors. It's also the same coating that Staccato uses on all their pistols. So, but cleaning is, you know, like, hey, here's the thing, put this in a plastic tube, put your cleaning solution in there, and then put the whole tube inside of the ultrasonic cleaner. You're getting the same effect of the ultrasonic cleaner, but you're not going to mess the finish up. You know, the commercial side is like, you have to be very careful in what you say because they'll do it, something will happen, and then they'll try and hold you accountable for it. Right?
I got you. I totally get
so,
that.
But yeah, cleaning is, it's an ongoing, it's just like selection. It's ongoing, right? Like we're finding all these things. We've had people make adapters to put high pressure hoses in here and try and do all that. What we're trying to do for cleaning is we're trying to solve the issue through technology. So we have our first version of flow through, and we've now, we know what the issues are. Cleaning's one of them. Mitigation of clogging up these flow channels is a big priority for us on the mission team, which will translate over. But so we're trying to solve it with technology, so we're not relying on something. This coating from, you know, it's Armor Lube. We bought our own machine. We're doing it in-house. But it's non-line of sight. So for the first time, the inside of this suppressor is being fully coated. When you do Cerakote, you're just coating the outside. In fact, you're putting plugs and all these things on the suppressor while you're coating it so nothing gets inside of it. This goes throughout the entire, every little baffle, every little channel, everything we have in there gets coated. So that is helping. That is one of the things also without technology or geometry is coatings. And we're working very close with the Army Research Lab in different coatings that could help with even some of the stuff with spark with titanium. You know, people shoot titanium suppressors and they spark and they're like, why does this spark and not that one? And it's like, well, because of the material that it's made out of and all those things. So cleaning is a priority for us. I think with our new test lab, we're going to get to a point where we'll have exactly what you can do and hopefully return back to that weight of 0 of getting things cleaned out.
Gotcha. So I have just a comment on the cleaning that I have, and I've experienced this for decades, is you get what you pay for. So if you buy bulk shit ammo, okay, you got some really dirty stuff. You'll see it when you shoot, you know it, the performance of the gun, you can tell it. So again, if you're shooting like these two Sons of Liberty Gunwork guns with cans and everything we have on them are thousands and thousands of dollars. The investment in spending a little bit more money on a better ammo And then, oh, by the way, if you're actively, I'll use Dan Horner's words, if you're going to the range just to shoot and you don't have objectives when you're going there, why are you even going to the range?
Yeah.
So like Dan was saying, like you should have objectives. Well, one of the objectives should be to improve your shooting. Well, if you're shooting garbage ammo and then on game day you shoot good ammo, right? So I guess what I'm saying here is spend a little bit more on ammo. It's a little bit cleaner. It'll keep your can and your gun a little bit cleaner. But guess what? You'll be measuring your performance better too.
100%.
So,
and the best thing I could say about cleaning is stay ahead of it, right? Like, again, you mentioned like the cost and the investment and everything. At the end of the day, as a professional user, this affects a lot of what that does, right? Or doesn't do. So your life is definitely worth 10 or 15 minutes of cleaning after every range session. Whereas before you might have just, left that suppressor on there and not done anything with it. So cleaning, staying ahead of it, not letting it get to the point where it's almost impossible to clean back to that zero state is the best advice. I don't want to get into, off camera, I'll let you know. But on camera, I think I'll get myself in a lot of trouble back home. So I'm not going to say anything on what to use for cleaning, but the best advice is stay ahead of it. Like go to the range, just like you'll clean your gun, just like you'll clean your pant, just like anything you would clean, treat your suppressor that same way. And it's going to last you for a lot longer.
So let me just ask you this. Is there a industry or a HUXWRX standard for suppressor life on a round count? Or is it just keep it clean? I mean, like if I'm buying this, in my mind, am I like after 2,000 rounds, 5,000 rounds, it's time to buy a new one? Is there a round count associated with it? That's a very subjective question, and it's also how you treat it, right? So a lot of people in the commercial side, they love this full auto thing, right? Full auto is this very neat, fun thing to do, where in the professional world, like nobody shoots full auto, right? So I like you're putting a lot more wear and tear on that suppressor. So I'm not avoiding that question, but I don't have a good answer because I think every situation, and I think, we have our suppressors on the professional side tested probably sometimes three times, right? And the Army Research Lab is our best metric because they're an independent government lab that all of the tiers and everybody goes to get this test data. We don't even get to see it because we're a vendor. So that right there is validation for basically everything we do on the professional side. And they've done high round count testing up to 12,000 rounds with our suppressors and still functioning and doing all those things. But that question is, again, additive manufacturing and the 3D printing acts a lot different than the traditional machined baffles and all that. So if you're shooting full auto at the range every time you go out there because it's neat and you like to do it, your suppressor will, gunk faster.
It will, and it'll deteriorate faster, right? So, I can't answer that with a
know
certainty.
This. I do know this, that from the SOCOM contract that you guys won and the test that it went through and all the testing that was done, that the round count on that can is higher than the round count I'll ever put through a personal can. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Like there's no way I'll ever get near that round count
in
a lifespan of the can. So I just want to, anybody that's listening, I want to put that out there. Like, unless you're a Dan Horner professional type shooter, that's what you do for a living, I don't think you'll ever outshoot the can. The message is clean the can so the performance stays where it's supposed to be.
Exactly.
That accurate?
That's 100% accurate.
All right, man. I tell you what, I'm a absolute huge fan of these cans, of HUXWRX, of the team you guys have. It's kind of funny, folks, just so you know, like I have this A-list of like Born Primitive. You guys know us. We're getting into some good shit, and I'm not shy to try new things. And one of my first speed dial calls is always, "Hey, Hux, do you want to jump on this with us?" And usually the answer is yes, as long as it involves their platform. But it's been a fun ride. Do you have anything that you maybe the folks back at home would like you to talk about?
I think I really hit it. The Human Performance Lab is probably the biggest thing. I tend to speak very freely. I think you know that about me when I'm in that building. And it doesn't always carry over very well with everybody. The truth sometimes hurts in a way that some people can't handle. So when you asked me to do this, I texted Ricky. I was like, hey, they want me to, Bruno wants me to do this. Are you okay with that? And you could just tell like the long pause and like, well, what's Vinnie going to say? Like,
well, let me tell you something, Vinnie. You said in my mind, first of all, for our audience, you said everything that needed to be said. And if you're not walking out of this podcast being a HUXWRX believer, I'm going to tell you right now, you were very forthright. We know the cans are the best. We know the human performance technology behind it. And we know that you guys are not afraid to dive in to do new things. So I think Rick's going to be very happy. I think that having you here versus Rick here is you could speak to the technical side a little bit better, which I think is very important for our listener, because we have a lot of people that are very deep into guns and want to understand what you just explained. And coming from the director of Lethality, I love that title. Coming from you, it's like, okay, this is the guy who's in charge of this. So I think it was great. I'll say this, that if you have any questions, these guys are always at events. They are not shy from any of the major suppressor competitions or events. I'll plug, we have the huge range day, September 4th, down at Constellas Training Center in Moyock, North Carolina. We have over 100 vendors that are going to be there. HUXWRX will be paired up with Sons of Liberty Gunwork on the premier range. Vinnie will be there if you want to get an autograph after listening to him.
Or some hair advice.
Yeah, but
maybe.
the mission team will be there. And I'm going to tell you the knowledge of these guys. Like I'm not kidding when I said when I have a gun issue, and Vinnie and I can go into it, but I don't want to get embarrassed. But we've had a couple gun issues over the past couple years where maybe we didn't do something right or we didn't understand something. And this is the guy I call. So, I have my full trust in you and I love your team, but I'll just say, I'm glad you did your first podcast. I'm going to tell you something pretty funny. You have to get on this podcast to get the HOTWASH coin. That HOTWASH coin that I usually smack in your hand on camera is sitting on my desk because I suck.
That's all right.
So when we leave here, I'm going to put that coin in your hand. But Vinnie and I are going to go have a steak tonight and talk offline without a microphone and come up with some of our next great ideas. But again, for September, we'll be together. Come see us. HUXWRX, you can, honestly, if you have questions on what they do between the website and their Instagram site, which is very legit, it shows a lot of good information. And then we're always pumping as well. Take a look there. Final comments, Vinnie.
I really appreciate you having me here. Everybody always says it's good to get the information out. I just don't like always being the guy that does it. So this is a very comfortable environment for me. Sitting with you, like, it's easy. It really is just two guys talking. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you thinking I am worthy of being on this. And I'm just looking forward to everything we're going to do in the future.
Yeah, bro, you're definitely worthy. Your company is outstanding and we love them. And I'll tell you right now that if you have not messed with HUXWRX, matter of fact, if you're in the Virginia Beach area, I was just picking up some stuff yesterday. Superior Pawn, which is who I go through, does HUX cans. Freedom does HUX cans. So you want to get out, look at them and hold them. They're there. And just take a look. But everybody, thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the podcast. The other thing we tell people is if there was something you have a question that Vinnie didn't answer, you can go ahead and DM me and I'll get with Vinnie and we'll get you that answer. Because that's what the platform is for, is to put information out in the community and get it out there straight, and to also introduce you to people behind the scenes that make this shit work. So have a good day and thank you. Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Hot Wash by Born Primitive Tactical. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or follow us at Born Primitive Tactical. I'll see you next time.